Things like that didn't happen in Marble Falls.
Especially to someone so young.
Yes.
There was an undercurrent somewhere, somehow, that must have caused this to happen, because I don't think she died by her own hand.
Records from any investigation in that area of Marble Falls in the 60s are missing. Officials found nothing in the archives except Danon Lewis's death certificate, signed by Justice of the Peace, or JP C.B. Wall. He listed the cause as an accidental strangulation, suggesting she tied the rope around her own neck too tight. It's a narrative Judge Wall maintained since the beginning, telling the local newspaper early on he was convinced she died of an accidental hanging. But many people in Marble Falls refused to accept that. What was the reaction from your classmates when that news came out?
It's just like unbelievable that she would do anything like that.
We just didn't see any way that that was what happened. You know, she was murdered.
In a public notice, Judge Wall acknowledged rumors about foul play and offered a $100 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction in the case. That never happened.
Could you imagine that something like this was an accident?
No, it just seemed more of a fanciful cover-up, if nothing else.
Like the hundreds of other JPs across Texas, Judge Wall had a lot of responsibilities and power. He could issue warrants, hold court, perform marriages, and because his county had no medical examiner, he served as coroner and investigated deaths himself, even though he wasn't a doctor with any medical training.
That role is unique to Texas and still exists today, nearly 60 years later. Plus, since it's an elected position, some say it can get very political.
Politics does play a role in everything. You know, they're all trying to look as good and not have a bunch of unsolved cases laying around if they're going to get reelected. It was just going to be too hard to solve. Close the book, we'll move on to the next thing. And I think that did happen. That's what really rankles so many of us.
Wall was up for re-election just 6 months after Danon died. While campaigning, he told the local paper he'd served the community to the best of his ability. He won another term, and a few months later, Danon's parents sold their home and moved away. Within a few years, Judge Wall died. Most in Danon's family still living wouldn't speak with us on the record about her nearly forgotten story.
This is the funeral notice. This was where her death was in the newspaper.
Then a few years back, her classmate, Ronnie Lewis, started sharing memories on social media.
I have a Facebook group, and we pretty well try to cover different topics from the Marble Falls, Burnett County area, just historical content. And so that's kind of how I got involved with the story.
He posted what he could recall about the case.
It was called The Young Girl That Was Murdered Down by Backbone Creek.
And over time, hundreds of comments and follow-up posts poured in.
There would be more discussion on those threads than just about anything else we did, because there was so much left unsaid. I had different ones that came to me and told me what they knew about it.
Including discrepancies they saw on the death certificate, like Judge Wall's indication Danon was playing in the shed with others before she disappeared, but reports say it then took her brother and his friends 2 hours to find her hanging there.
And it was always said that she was hanging like from a rafter or something, but her knees were touching the ground. Well, you know, it didn't take much imagination to figure out something's wrong.
What are some of the theories that you've heard over the years about what might have happened in this case?
There was somebody that was visiting the neighborhood that had a bad criminal history that could have done it. He had some peeping Tom issues, and he was staying within a few houses of Danon's family. I mean, there's a lot of speculation.
Speculation that almost seemed to flow along Backbone Creek, Danon's neighborhood, the precinct where Judge Wall presided over several other unattended deaths that year, leading up to his re-election. Most of those were suicides. something officials today tell us would be cause for careful consideration and an expert medical opinion.
And while he had discretion to err on the side of caution and ask a local doctor to conduct an autopsy, or maybe even send bodies to a bigger county with a medical examiner, he didn't in all of these cases, including Daynon's. It was something that caught the attention of the woman who holds Wall's seat today. If you suspect a crime has occurred related to that death, what do you do at that point?
I'm pretty well going to send that person first off for an autopsy.
We learned that no autopsy was done in this case.
Oh, okay.
The time frame, for some, it seemed rather quick to close something like that without an autopsy.
I know that I would have definitely wanted an autopsy, on that child.